What if the exact thing driving your success is the exact thing guaranteeing your misery? Welcome to today's deep dive.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get into this one.
Yeah, our mission today is to explore excerpts from this ancient text called the Ashtavakra Gita. And we want to uncover this startlingly direct shortcut to mental peace and self-realization. So if you ever feel exhausted by the constant pressure to achieve or just weighed down by endless desires, this is going to be an incredibly potent antidote.
It really is. The text completely bypasses the usual, gradual steps of self-improvement.
Right.
It just attacks the root mechanics of how our consciousness actually operates.
Right, it doesn't mess around.
Not at all. It demands this massive, immediate shift. Basically, to achieve liberation, you have to treat sensory pleasures like poison and instead embrace things like forgiveness, simplicity, compassion, and truth like nectar.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because treating sensory pleasures like poison sounds pretty extreme at first.
Oh, for sure.
It's almost like the ultimate ancient version of a radical digital detox. But looking at the mechanics of it, the text argues that pleasure traps us in this endless feedback loop of just wanting more.
Exactly. And the underlying logic here relies on realizing you are not your body and you're not your mind either. You are pure consciousness experiencing a world that is essentially Maya, which means illusion.
But see, that's where I get stuck, and I think it triggers a red flag for a lot of us. If we aren't our minds or bodies, and the text says the world is an illusion, doesn't that make everyday life feel kind of detached or pointless?
Yeah, that's a super common fear, like one I just sit staring at a wall because nothing matters.
Right, exactly.
But that misinterpretation happens when people confuse illusion with non-existence. Maya doesn't mean the physical world isn't literally there. It means your perception of it is distorted by your mind's attachments.
Whoa, okay, so it's about the lens we're looking through.
Right. To correct that distortion, the text introduces the concept of the witness, or Sakshibhava. You basically shift your perspective from being the main character tangled up in all the drama to being the silent observer of it.
That makes me think of watching a movie. Like when you're sitting in the theater watching a tragic film, you might feel the sadness. You might even cry.
Yeah, totally.
But the screen itself never gets wet. The screen is pure consciousness. So when the text says sorrow only exists in the mind, it means the screen is always peaceful. By acting as the witness, you just stop identifying with the movie.
That is a perfect analogy, because the mechanism of anxiety actually requires you to identify with the problem.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The moment you step back into that witness state, the anxiety just loses its anchor. The heaviness you feel instantly dissipates because you see that the mind is what's churning, while your true self remains completely untouched. You realize everyday problems aren't permanently attached to you.
Wow. Which brings us to, I think, the biggest hurdle the text talks about, which is the ego. Specifically this feeling of, I am the doer.
Right. The text claims that specific belief is the actual definition of bondage. Desires bring restlessness, so fewer desires equal more peace.
But let me push back on that. If I drop the idea that I am the doer, won't I just lose all of my drive? Like I won't pay my bills or finish my projects, I'll just sit on the couch.
Well, no, because action still happens. I mean, hunger drives you to eat, responsibilities drive you to work.
Yeah.
But dropping that doer ego simply removes the heavy burden of anxiety. It severs the connection between the action and your self-worth.
So I'm not carrying the agonizing weight of the outcome anymore.
Precisely. You stop obsessing over whether you'll succeed or fail. When you realize the body and mind are just carrying out their nature like a river flowing down a mountain, you remove that psychological tax. The text argues that bondage is merely an illusion of the mind. You're actually already free.
That fundamentally changes the whole equation of how we live. I mean, we're conditioned to believe peace is something you have to painfully earn, through endless actions or penance or just grinding yourself into the ground until you finally make it.
Yeah, the hustle culture trap. But the ultimate takeaway from these sources is that liberation doesn't require endless actions. It comes solely through self-knowledge. Knowing yourself completely ends the fear of the world, which results in a totally fearless life.
So peace isn't something you have to earn. It's about clearing the mind to realize the freedom you already possess. It's not the finish line of a marathon, it's the starting point once you stop running in the wrong direction.
Exactly. You don't have to acquire peace. You just have to stop actively obstructing it.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought for you to take away today. If liberation is truly just a matter of waking up to the fact that you're already free, what is the very first illusion or heavy desire you can drop today to instantly feel that lightness?
नमस्कार दोस्तों, कैसे हो आप लोग। आशा करता हूँ आप लोग अच्छे होंगे, स्वस्थ होंगे, सुरक्षित होंगे। आपको मेरा वीडियो कैसा लगा, अगर वीडियो अच्छा लगा तो लाइक सब्सक्राइब जरूर कर दीजिएगा। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट एपिसोड में, तब तक के लिए गुड बाय।